with Big Sarge. What's up?
Yes, I do, Mr. Stroud. I do have something that I want to say. Good morning. Welcome to the Texas Tailgate Talk Show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me. Oh my God, fix my hat. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, Big Sarge Media / Texans Tailgate Talk. Because right now I am streaming live on both channels, on the Big Sarge Media channel and on the Texans Tailgate Talk channel. But coming up here pretty soon, I will only be streaming the Texans Tailgate Talk on the Texans Tailgate channel. So make sure you subscribe to the Texans Tailgate channel, because that's going to be, I've created a YouTube page for Texans fans only, as Marcus would like to say, Texans only fans. But I have a station, a channel, a YouTube channel dedicated directly to Houston Texans content that I have for Houston Texans content for Houston Texans fans. Just like I have podcasts available wherever you get your podcast from. I have a podcast that is the Texans Tailgate Talk that is only for Texans fans. And then again, hold on, Sarge. Hold on now. We're not going to limit this thing just to Texans fans, because there are going to be some other people, NFL fans, that just going to want to listen to what's going on here in Houston. And there's going to be other teams. There are going to be other people who cover other teams in the AFC South that's going to want to know what's going on. And hey, look, what better place to come than to listen to Big Sarge on the Texans Tailgate Show tell you everything that's going on with the Houston Texans and giving you some exclusive live up to the minute updates, especially once the season starts. But make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk channel, and make sure wherever you get your podcast from, make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast, because some of these shows won't be live. I'm going to tell you that right now. Every show will not be live. Every podcast will not be live, okay? And so give me 1 second. I need to make sure of something, because I feel like, okay, we're good. This week, I have two very, very good guests that are coming up, that the show will not be live. It will be recorded, of course, and it will be put out exclusively on the Texas Tailgate Talk channel, and it will be uploaded as a podcast. So make sure you are subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk channel, because over there I will also, you all know that thing that I like to do on my page, on my Twitter page at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Y'all know that I like to do my digging in the duffel bags, right? And I'll dig in my duffel bag, and I'll go in and I'll find exclusive content that's from the locker room. Sometimes the content comes from press conferences, but for the most part, it comes from the locker room, where either maybe sometimes one of my colleagues have asked a question that I deem that you all, need to hear, especially going into the season. So digging in my duffel bag, those videos will also be on the Texas Tailgate Talk channel. I'm just trying to build this thing up, because I'm trying to open up the door for some other people, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. That's coming at a later date. You also know, what's up, AD? What's up, Cedric? What's up, HD? What's up, Marcus? 13-4. I got 12-5. Cedric. But you also know that one of the when the Texas Tailgate Talk first started, I was doing the videos from the back of my truck on the tailgate. That's going to come back. As a matter of fact, on next week. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Let me make sure. Next week, when next week the Houston Texans will have OTAs. They'll have 2 weeks in a row, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, I think when I looked at that schedule, they have them 3 days next week and then 3 days the following week, if I'm not mistaken. I got to go back and I got to look, because I think one is voluntary and then the other is mandatory. But after every OTA that the media is allowed to be at, I will be doing a Texans tailgate video from behind, but on the back of the tailgate, from where this show originated from and what this show is all about. Sitting on the back of the tailgate, just talking some Texans football. And so I will also probably bring on a couple of guests on there, but that content won't be on Big Sarge Media channel on YouTube. That content will only be on the Texans Tailgate Talk channel, and that the podcast from the OTAs will only be exclusively on the Texans Tailgate Talk. Golly, I felt like I've done a lot of talking. What's up, EJ? Yeah, June 3rd and 4th is mandatory. Thanks, AD. I appreciate that. But how's your weekend? Y'all know we got to get this thing started first. Can't wait to be on the Texans Tailgate channel. Hey, now AD, you know I'm gonna get you on there, but you and I we gotta have, you and I need to have a discussion. You and I, we gotta talk offline. I think you got a feeling about what I'm gonna talk about, but I gotta have a conversation with you, AD. Of course, you're gonna be on the Texas Tailgate Talk. The H-Town Rundown will be on there. I will get the Texans on 3 with Patton and Killer Cow on the show as well. I'm planning on having Houston Stressings, of course, will be on the Texans Tailgate Talk, and maybe some other Texans content creators that are out there. I would love to have them on the Texans Tailgate channel, only because I'm not one of those guys who don't believe in giving back or helping for as much as I can. And 80 is right here. They be beefing on the rundown. Hey, Cedric, I ain't gonna lie. Let me put that up there real quick. Cedric, you ain't lying. They some of them beefing with me. That's why me and AD gotta have a talk. All right, so over the weekend, right? Let's go ahead and get this thing started. But over the weekend, I got an opportunity to go out to the Houston Methodist Training Center, where they had the they had the girls flag football championship for the Houston area. Right. And so I got a chance to stay there and watch. I think it was Houston Heights versus Houston Westbury. And then the next game was Willow Ridge versus, I can't remember, but I had to leave because I had some prior engagements that I had to be at. But I got an opportunity to get to the first game. And, of course, Hannah McNair was out there. Linebacker Aziz Al-Shahir was out there. Defensive end Daryl Taylor was out there. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. Listen. I don't know how many of you all have ever played flag football before. I don't know how many of you all have played flag football before. How many of you all have ever watched flag football? This shirt is getting on my nerves. But it was a really good game. The young lady who got the MVP, she had like 4 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. Like, that game was really exciting. It was 13-6 for a very long time until they scored on a double reverse pass. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Houston Heights. Houston Heights won the Houston area, the Houston flag football championship with a double reverse. They were up 13-6 with like a minute 39 left. They did a double reverse halfback pass. And so I was like, wow. And if you all been on my Twitter page, you all seen that, I asked Aziz and Daryl Taylor, were they out there did the young ladies ask for advice? And you could hear Aziz was like, man, I got locked in, especially on the defense. I mean, he said I was locked in, and I told her, hey, look, y'all got to lock in. We got to do this, that, and the other. And he wasn't lying. Like, he was. It was almost like he was out there coaching. He was really locked into what was going on, and it wasn't fake. But they had at the end, they got like rings. They got the MVP got like a championship belt. They got trophies. I mean, they got like the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans organization did it really, really big for the for the young ladies. The She's Next campaign that they have going on promoting young ladies flag football. And hey, her Kyle and Hannah's youngest daughter also won their flag football championship, and so after they won theirs, they came on over to Methodist. But I had a really good time, out there covering that, getting a chance to see some of the parents come out there and support, see some of the people out there supporting. And so that was part of my weekend. And so make sure you go back and you listen to the show from last week as well, when I talked about the two people I feel like should be captains this week. If you hadn't got a chance to catch up on that, please go to the Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel and get caught up on that. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing started here. So coming into last season, right? Y'all give me a second. Coming into last season, the Houston Texans decided to do something that most people did not see coming, right? DeMeco Ryans, Matt Burke, Dino Vasso, Stephen Adegoji. Vasso, of course, coaches the defensive backs. Adegoji coaches the safeties. What they decided to do coming into the season was they decided to throw a little wrinkle into the game, right? They decided to throw a little wrinkle into the game. What they did was they moved safety Jalen Petrie from the safety position to the nickel cornerback position, right? They moved him from the safety position to the nickel corner position, a position that he had played prior. He played that in high school. He played that in college. And what the Texans wanted to do was to get him, one, closer to the action, closer to the line, to help in run support. Because when you look at Jalen Petrie is like another linebacker out there with just defensive back skills. I mean, you get him close. He doesn't mind hitting. He doesn't mind doing run support, but he can also cover. Now, listen, I know some of you all are going to bring up the New York Jets game, and he never should have been on Devontae Adams. We already know that. And if you go back and I've said this before on a previous show, if you look, Henry To'oTo'o was this close to sacking Aaron Rodgers. If he gets to Aaron Rodgers, that play doesn't happen. I also felt like the Houston Texans probably should have called timeout because they were beat by alignment. If you see Jalen Petrie locked up on Devontae Adams, that means something has to change. Somebody got an audible out of something has to give. And so the move that the Houston Texans made, I think, was very successful before Jalen Petrie got hurt. Hey, somebody fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it was week 12 he got hurt. Week 12 he got hurt against the Tennessee Titans, and he was out for the remainder of the season. And they could have really used him, especially in that division round against the division round against the Kansas City Chiefs. But you look at what they did and how they shook things up coming into the season by moving Jalen Petrie from the safety position to the nickel corner position. So, get my notes right here. The Houston Texans are going to have a problem. The Houston Texans are going to have an issue coming into this season with Christian Harris returning. With the healthy Christian Harris coming back, the Houston Texans are going to have a problem at the linebacker position because they only play two linebackers. Now, for those of you all who aren't familiar with Christian Harris, let me read off some of his stats before we get into this, because I know that he missed the majority of last season due to a calf injury that he never really fully recovered from. But Christian Harris was selected in the third round in 2022. In his first two seasons, he played in 28 games. He started 23, had 174 combined tackles, 100 in 2023, which was DeMeco's first year. 64 was solo. Everybody remembers the viral clip of DeMeco talking to him against the Cleveland Browns and how he was able to how D'Amico told him exactly what was going to happen, and then Christian Harris went out there and got that pick six. And like I said, he had a calf injury in the off season, and he tried to come back during training camp. I remember he came out on the field and ran a couple of drills, and he's like, "Okay, we see Christian Harris back." And then next thing you know, he's on the back of the cart leaving the field, and so he had a setback, missed 13 games on injury reserve. He played in week 15, 16, and 17. He was inactive for week 18. And so during those 3 weeks that he played, he had 20 tackles and 13 solo tackles, played limited time in the Chargers game, and he did not play in the Chiefs game. And if anybody, who has watched the Houston Texans, what's going on now? If anybody has watched the Houston Texans, you know that Christian Harris is a very talented young man. Christian Harris is a hard worker. Christian Harris is almost a chip off of the D'Amico Ryans block, right? The chip, they say the chip off of the old block. Like, he mimics, if you look at Christian Harris, and D'Amico never had Christian Harris's speed, but if you look at everything else, which is why he took to Christian Harris so early on, and why Christian Harris took to D'Amico so early on, is because, not only because of the fact that they both played at Alabama, but they were able to pick each other's brains. And when you look at Christian Harris, he was almost what D'Amico was when he was on the field. And so Christian Harris coming back causes a problem. And the reason why it causes a problem is because while Christian was out, Henry To'oTo'o flourished. Henry To'oTo'o flourished, being on the side of Azeez Al-Shaair and being under the guidance of D'Amico Ryans. What's up, Larry? Good morning to you. He flourished under D'Amico Ryans. He flourished being next to Azeez. And then when Azeez was out with injury, when Azeez was out due to suspension, Henry stepped up and took on that role. And so Henry's last season, he led the team in tackles. He led the Texans in tackles last year. In his first 2 seasons, he's played in 30 games. He has 21 starts. He has 161 total tackles in 2 years. He had 104 he had 104 last year, 53 solo. And so when you look at the conundrum, right? When you look at the conundrum that the Houston Texans are facing now, they have Henry To'oTo'o, who did very well last season, and they have Christian Harris, who did well the season before. We definitely know that Azeez Al-Shaair is going to be on the field. But now you got to find a place to put Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris. Now, I understand you let them go into the season and you let them battle it out, right? You let them battle it out. You let them battle it out for that position right there, which I think that's going to be a really good competition. It's going to be a healthy competition because Christian and Henry are really good. When I tell you they're really good friends, like they are really, really good friends. And we know both played at Alabama, both played the linebacker position. They are really good friends on the field, off the field, in the locker room. Like, they are really good friends. And so this is going to be a competition where they're just going to compete against each other with no ill will feelings towards each other, no malicious or salacious intent. Nothing is going to be done out of bad intent. They're just going to compete, and they're going to say, may the best man win, right? I think the only way that Henry starts over Harris is that Miko thinks Henry has a better IQ for the game. Hold on, let me put that up there real quick. Senior Boble says, I think the only way Henry starts over Harris is that Miko thinks Henry has a better IQ for the game. That's true. What's up, Queena? That could be true too, right? And it doesn't have to be it doesn't just have to be his IQ though. Maybe he's seen something in his play. If you just remove the IQ factor from it and just look at the way that he played last season and how he was able to gel with Azeez, that may just be it. That may be, hey, look, we don't want to mess up a good thing. We know that the chemistry that these two have together, but then again, Christian and Azeez may develop that same chemistry throughout training camp. So it's going to be a battle. Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. If they start Henry, right? If they start Henry, I honestly and truly believe, and this is look, the thoughts, views, and opinions on the Texans tailgate talk is Big Sarge and Big Sarge is alone. All right. These are my thoughts, these are my opinions, these are my takes. Okay. So I feel like if they start Henry Toa at on side of Azeez Al-Shaair, and you're bringing Christian Harris in to back up Henry Toa, I also believe that Christian Harris can back up Jalen Petrie. You have a guy here who D'Amico Ryan said last season was the fastest player on the team. He said when he's healthy, there's nobody faster on this team than Christian Harris. He has the speed. And if you watch them play, right, if you watch them play in 2023, the way that he was able to get to the ball so quickly. Now, he could have done a little bit better as far as pass coverage is concerned. But I think that, so could Henry. Like Henry could be a better pass covered linebacker. But when you look at the way that Christian Harris is able to get to the ball, able to get downhill, the speed that he has and that he's able to utilize with that mentality of that no fear mentality, I'm going directly towards the ball. I'm going to make sure that I get the ball, right? So if you're going to have him back up Henry, I also think that he could back up Jalen. I honestly and truly believe that he could back up Jalen Petrie, because the uncertainty at that nickel corner position comes with what is going to happen with Jimmy Ward and how healthy can Jimmy Ward stay. I don't feel like Christian Harris is going to be one of those guys that is going to be injury prone and is going to continue to sustain those type of injuries. I think that the only reason Jimmy is because Jimmy has been in the league for a very long time. He got a lot of football on his body, right? And so why not? Christian Harris has played the defensive back position before. He has the mentality and the mindset of a defensive back. You're still keeping him close to the line to help you out in run support. And if you look last season, sometimes you will look and you will see it'll be Azeez, it'll be Henry, and Jalen Petrie will be right there. They will have almost like three linebackers, right? They were playing a three linebacker set. And so this year, of course, if they're going to do that, they could bring in Christian and have all three of them on the field at the time. Hey, and I like that too. I like that too in certain packages to have Azeez, Henry, and Christian all on the field together. But I feel like that Christian Harris is one of those hybrid linebackers who can play both the linebacker and that nickel corner position on certain downs, or just to back up Jalen Petrie, because with his speed and his IQ, he can cover some. He can cover some ground, right? He can cover some ground. Now, if you ask him to cover a fly route, I don't know. I don't know how good he's going to be in coverage as far as like, and it's a go route. I don't know how he'll be able to do that. But I know in those short areas in which a nickel corner is really looking to watch to see what is going on, I think that Christian Harris could do that. I honestly and truly believe that it could happen if you want to get Christian on the field like that. If you want to get Christian on the field and he's not going to start, and you're going to start Henry Toa, nobody knew what the Houston Texans were going to get when they moved Jalen Petrie from safety to the nickel corner position. What's up, Texans Tangent? Nobody knew what they were going to get. Nobody knew that just making that small adjustment, it would be so vital. I mean, because think about it. They got rid of Tavier Thomas. They got rid of Desmond King when they said that they were going to put Jalen Petrie at that spot. And they said, look, we don't know what's going to happen. I even had an opportunity to speak to Jalen about that. And Jalen said, we kind of tinker with the idea during, in the off season. They kind of told me that they probably want me to do those, to play that position. And then he said, what I had to do was I had to go back and I started watching film from high school and watching film from college, and then watched film of other nickel corners just to get myself reacclimated to playing that position. And like I said, people are going to bring up, oh, Sarge or Jalen Petrie. I mean, he got beat in the Jets game by Devontae Adams. Yeah, that's true. That's facts. You can't. All right, listen. I told you, opinions can be debated. Facts cannot. That's a fact. But you know what else is a fact? Go back and look at the way that Jalen Petrie played that position as far as run support. Also, go back and look and watch and see how many turnovers he was able to cause. Somebody fact check me on this. But if I'm not mistaken, in that game against the Packers, right? If I'm not mistaken, in that game against the Packers, when the Texans were on defense first, wasn't it Jalen Petrie who caused the turn, who disrupted the play to whereas Neville Hewitt got his first interception? I'm not like that happened, right? If I'm not mistaken, didn't he have one hell of a game against the Cowboys? Like there was times where you look up and Jalen Petrie within 3 or 4 weeks had caused, what his play stood out somewhere, right? And the Houston Texans didn't know that coming into the season, but they took that chance. And so that's all I'm saying is that take that chance. You cannot keep a talented player, a healthy, talented player like Christian Harris on the sidelines. We seen what happened when he tried to come back. Listen, I'm not telling you all something that you all don't know or haven't heard right here. I think I told you this when I was on that former show that I was on. Christian Harris came back. He wasn't the Christian Harris that he was the year prior. I honestly and truly believe that he should have taken the entire year off. I don't think that he should have came back to try to play football. But it's hard to tell a competitor that. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell a player like Christian Harris who only knows one way to compete, not to come back and get on the field. So when you look at that, you get him as you got a backup linebacker, but I also believe that you got a backup nickel corner. I had an opportunity to speak with Christian in 2023, right? This was 2023, so this was 2 years ago. And we're at his locker, and the conversation actually started when I was going around the locker room asking who they think had the most hops, right? Just a conversation. I was like, hey, who you think got the most hops in this locker room, right? And when I got to Henry said, it's definitely Christian. I said, what you mean it's definitely Christian? He said, go ask him. So I went to talk to Christian, and Christian was like, yeah. He said, no, I got hops. He said, I've been dunking since I was in the 8th grade. He said, I've been dunking a basketball since I was in the 8th grade. And he said, by the time I got to high school, I was doing the variations of dunks. And so we were talking about that and just him being an athlete in general. And then we started talking about him playing in high school. And I didn't know. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know that Christian played defensive back. And I think he played defensive back. He may have played wide receiver. But I definitely know he played defensive back. And he said, yeah, I was a DB in high school. I said, like a defensive back. He's like, that's what DB stand for, right? And we both laughed. And I was like, wait a minute, you play? He said, yeah. He said, that's one of the reasons why he says I know how to work on my speed, because I've been working on speed. I've been doing speed drills, speed agility drills since high school. So I know how to keep my speed up. He said, I didn't start playing linebacker until I got to Alabama. And he said, so I still have a lot of that defensive back mindset, that defensive back mindset in me. And I don't think that that's something that has changed. I don't think that that's something that's changed. I don't think that that's something that you ever lose. Hey, look, let me tell you something. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was talking to my wife about this the other day when we were at the gym, because every time we come into the gym, you walk in and you got the pool, you got the whirlpool right there, but you got the pool right there. So the other day we walked in, I looked over and I said, because I know how to swim, I can't tell you the last time I swam. I probably haven't been in a swimming pool 2018. It's been 7 years since I've been in a swimming pool. That don't mean I forgot how to swim. That just means I haven't been in a swimming pool. I still know how to swim. Get me in the pool, I still know how to swim. I just haven't been in a pool in 7 years. So I'm saying that to say, hey, Christian Harris hasn't played defensive back since high school, but that doesn't mean he forgot how to play defensive back. And I'm pretty sure with his work ethic and and the way that he studies the game, that if they tell him, hey, we want you to, of course, we want you to be here, but we also need you to just, know this just in case. Because think about it. Last year, when Jalen Petrie got hurt, right? Jalen Petrie got hurt, and I think the next week, no, let me take that back. Jalen Petrie got hurt in week 12. And then after that, I think Jimmy, y'all give me 1 second, because if not, I'm gonna this is gonna drive me nuts. Give me 1 second. I need to look up the roster defense. Jimmy Ward. There you go. Jimmy Ward stats. Because I know Jimmy got hurt in week 16 in the Chiefs game, because that's the same game they lost. Shaq Mason got hurt. Shaq Mason got hurt in that game, and Jimmy Ward got hurt in that game. And so Jimmy been in the league a long time. It's going on like his 11th season. Yep. So week 12 in the Titans, when he got hurt. I mean, when Jalen Petrie got hurt, and then against the Jaguars, Dolphins, and the Chiefs in week 6. Yeah. So in week 13 and 15, because they had a bye week. So he played the nickel corner position for 2 weeks before he got hurt, right? And so then you remember he got hurt. And then Kamari Lassiter had to play at the nickel corner position for like the rest of that game. And if we go back, we remember in week 16, a lot of us do not want to remember that game, because that's the game that Tank Dell also got hurt in that horrific collision, and that he's still recovering from. But if you go back, and I think, who was that? Was that Xavier Worthy that scored on that touchdown? Well, whoever, I can't remember the wide receiver who scored on the touchdown, but they had Kamari playing in the nickel corner position. That's the first time he had played that position in like forever. And if you look at it, they were, right there. I think, was it like 7 yards in, 10 yards in then. Kamari didn't get the depth that he should have gotten on that play. And the Chiefs even said when they seen it, they started calling it out, because they knew, hey, he's not going to drop far enough. And, you can't blame that on Kamari, because Kamari is used to playing on the sideline. He's not used to playing on the inside like that. And so he thought that he dropped enough, but I guess he didn't. And so then you had Bryant. What was Bryant's? Let me see if he's still on the roster. What was Bryant's first name? The guy that came over from the no, he's not on that no more. But he had came over from what does it say? He had came over from the Patriots, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they needed Miles Bryant. Thank you, sideline Sarah. I just say Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. And so they still were trying to, they didn't have anybody in that position. So now if I feel like if you get Christian Harris ready and available, if they do have to go to him in case of emergency, he's already there. Because if not, you're going to have a very talented young man on the sideline, and where you could find him reps, you're going to have to find him reps. And even look, and vice versa, right? Vice versa. If you put Christian on the field, Christian starts at linebacker. You got Henry Toa now on the side. Now, don't get me wrong. Hey, listen, because some of y'all don't like to listen to the entirety of a show. You all just try to clip things up and then go from there. I'm not saying Henry Toa can do the same thing that I'm saying Christian Harris could do. I'm not saying Henry Toa can play linebacker and he can play the nickel corner position. No, he can't. I only believe that Christian is that hybrid type of linebacker that could do both. And if you're not going to start him, then you make sure that not only is he ready to play linebacker, but he's ready to be a backup nickel corner if need be. In case of emergency, break glass, get him some reps on the field. That would be something that I would probably try to tinker with, throughout training camp and throughout the preseason, just to see, how that will look, how that will work. That's where you would want to get it going. And side note, with the amount of pressure that front four can get, and with Christian speed and with his coverage speed, with his speed and with his coverage, might not be bad alternating him and Jalen Petrie out as well. And like I said, he's also there for run support. So as I digress, if Christian Harris starts and Henry To'oTo'o is on the sideline, now you got a player who showed real progression last season, talented. Now you got him on the sideline, right? And so the Texans they got a good problem to have. They got two very young, talented linebackers who both have flourished under DeMeco Ryans, both who have excelled in this DeMeco Ryans scheme, both who's ready to take that next step. You had Christian Harris had 100 tackles in 2023. Henry To'oTo'o had 100 tackles in 2024. Both of these guys are ready to take that next step up. You just got to find them the playing time. And, I don't know. Let me look up something. I was looking up something before I started this show. And let me look up something right now, because you may be keeping both of them and maybe getting both of them ready to play together, right? I'm just looking at what Aziz's contract is. So he has potential out in 2026. He could become a free. Well, actually, he could probably become a free agent before that. They said 2027, 28, and 2029. Let me see if I got this right here. He signed a 3-year contract. Didn't he restructure that contract though? Yeah, he restructured bonus while carrying a yeah. So they could be getting them ready to play together. Who knows? Who knows? They could be getting Harrison and To'oTo'o ready to play together once Aziz is no longer a part of the team. Could be. Maybe they're looking ahead towards the future. I wouldn't put it past Nick Casario or DeMeco Ryans. I would not put it past them. I wouldn't do it right now because, of course, Aziz is who Aziz is, and he is a healthy Aziz and one who can avoid any type of suspensions this year. You're going to see. Then you're going to actually also see a very motivated Aziz out here. But as I digress, Christian Harris could be that hybrid that the Houston Texans need. All right, let me hop in here. And read some of these comments. Let me throw some of these comments up there. Let me see. Larry says Harris has to stay healthy in order to earn a starting spot. That's true. Ashley Knuckles Boxing says depth is a good problem to have. Better rotations, in my opinion. Do we still have Neville Hewitt? That's a good question. Let me look and see. I don't see Neville Hewitt on here. I don't see Neville Hewitt. Let me look at it this way. As far as active rosters is concerned, I don't see Neville Hewitt. But hey, look, let me say this, right? No Neville Hewitt. You still have Jamal Hill, who's another young and up and coming linebacker that they drafted out of Oregon, who's coming from the safety position to learning to play linebacker and has only played linebacker 1 year. So, you could. See what AD has to say. I personally want to see what Aziz and Harris starting looks like before we make the definitive decision. Yeah, yeah. I mean, AD, I know that you got I know how you feel about Henry Toa Toa. I mean, you've called him Henry Noah Noah, and nothing brought me more pleasure. Of course, you know, lying. I've had things that bring me more pleasure, but one of the things that brought me pleasure last season, AD, was just making sure that I rubbed the fact that Henry was playing well in your face. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. If you want to know, it's right. Petty Pendergrass right here. Petty Bridgewater right here. Petty Roosevelt right here. Healthy Christian Harris may make Petrie a little irrelevant, but that paycheck makes it impossible. Yeah, they did just give him the money. Queena says that's actually not a bad idea. Makes the defense less predictable based on personnel on the field. Yeah, I say the same thing. I can dig it, Sarge. Healthy Harris is definitely an asset for this defense. Yep. David says Harris has the body and speed to play several positions, get his food and workouts right so he can stay healthy this year. Less might be more for this young man. I like that take, David. I like that take. I seen what you said, Ashley Knuckles. I'm gonna stroll right by that. Did Harris have to have any medical procedures after the season? Maybe just some cleanup. Maybe just some cleanup. But I think that's it. Sorry, you need to get some fins and snorkels with the mask. You're gonna love it this summer with the temperatures around 100. Oh, it's yeah, for sure. What time is it? Oh, damn, it's only 10:30. AD, you better be glad it's too early for a happy hour. Cause I'd have paused this show and went and got me my cup and came back with a little something to drink. Sarge didn't even bring up EJ Speed. Let me let that marinate just a little bit longer. Gotcha. Exactly. Exactly, Senor Boble. Exactly. All right, y'all. It has been fun. It has been fun. What's today? Monday. Okay. I'm gonna wait. If I can get 7 to 10 people to say yes, if I can get 7 to 10 people to comment. Oh, and those 7 to 10 people also go and subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel. I need 7 to 10 yeses, and I need 7 to 10 subscriptions. And let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. And I want to make this perfectly clear. I want to make this perfectly clear. Right? I don't have any sponsors. I'm not asking for subs so I can get paid. I'm not asking that. Uh for the longest, I've always done this out of the love. Of course, do I want to get paid? Sure. Will I get paid in the future? Of course I will. I'm not, I'm not worried about that. I just want you all to subscribe, and especially if you're Texans fans, because I don't want you to miss out. I don't want you to miss out. I don't want you to miss out on, everything that I'm going to be able to bring to you all. And don't get me wrong, there's other Texans content creators out there that have some very good content. There's a lot of other channels out there that has some very good content, and they may bring you a different perspective than what I bring. They may bring you something different than what you hear on a Texans Tailgate Talk. I'm just going to bring you everything that I can, from the exclusive interviews to I've already booked 4 trips for the season, as far as road games are concerned. And so, I go on the road, I do the after, I do the post game reviews on the field. And so, of course I do them after every home game as well. And so you know, if you like what you're seeing here, If you like what you're seeing here, just make sure that you like, subscribe, share. Yeah. So this is what I need the 7 to 10 people to say yes and to subscribe to the channel for. Should we do a Texans happy hour today? Should there be a Texans happy hour? Because y'all listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm me, and I'm talking about Sarge and Sarge alone. I'm never short of content. I'm never short of Texans content. I got some things that I've been looking at right now in my phone that I'm saying to myself when I go back and I'm listening to some of these interviews that I've had, or these press conferences that I had. I'm listening, I'm saying to myself, hmm, hmm. Like, if I can get, like I said, if I can get 7 to 10 yeses, right? If I can get 7 to 10 yeses right here in these comments, let's do this. I'm gonna write this down too. Hold on 1 second. Now, y'all remember I talked about this before. I think I was one of the first people to put this out, especially after the Houston Texans drafted Jaden Higgins. I was one of the first people to I was the first actually to put this out and said, now the Texans can run a double big lineup. The Texans can run a double big lineup with Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins, because they're both six. Hold on 1 second. How tall is Jaden Higgins? Let's make sure what they got him listed at. Jaden Higgins, 6'4", right? 6'4", 215. Nico Collins, 6'4". So I said, and at the time I used the analogy of how the analogy and the example of how the Houston Rockets were running a double big lineup. And so they can run a double big lineup as well at the wide receivers. But here's the thing, right? They can also run a double big lineup with their with their tight ends. I am very curious. I'm very curious to see how offensive coordinator Nick Caley and hold on, because I want to make sure Jake Moreland. Let me make sure I got that right. Jake Moreland. And I knew that, but y'all know I don't like to do half-ass stuff on here. I want to make sure I give y'all everything. I'm curious to see how Nick Caley and Jake Moreland are going to incorporate not only the use of Dalton Schultz, but not only the use of Dalton Schultz, but the use of Cade Stover and Brevin Jordan. And I feel like that there is a world, right? There's a world where you can have Brevin Jordan and Cade Stover on the field at the same time. Because I feel like both of them, you know what? I'm going to save that. Let me see how many I got. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 3 more. And look, let me tell you something. This is something that I could have saved to use for another podcast or use for another show. No, I don't mind. I told you I have Texas content. I got things I could talk about for days. I had a really good conversation with Aziz Al-Shari on Saturday. A really, really good one-on-one conversation with Aziz. Really good one. I might need to hit him up and ask him if I can share some of that. Yeah. I need Schultz, and there's no effort off my team. Jared Wayne, Stingley vouch for him. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Texans Tailgate Talk has its own channel. Yes, ma'am. Just for you all. Matter of fact, I'm streaming live on the Texans Tailgate channel as well. Yep. Yeah, that's 3. All right, Queen, I got it for y'all. Hey, I'll be back, right? I'll be back with the Texans Texans tailgate talk today, right? I will be back with the Texans tailgate with the Texans happy hour on the Texans tailgate. I'm going to do it exclusively. Y'all make sure y'all share the word. Spread the word. I'm only going to start starting today. The happy hours will only be on the Texans tailgate talk channel. They don't get it. Look, they may be able to get this for now, but we can't give them everything, y'all. For the people who's been here that supported me, that's been there for me, they can't get everything, right? What time? Are you on Central, Eastern, Mountain? I don't know no other time zones, but so I don't know. You know what? What time is a good time for y'all? How about that? How about that? What time is give me a good Central Standard Time for you all, right? Let me see the consensus. H-Town, okay. What's the consensus? Oh, shucks. Thank you, AD. This is why you're my partner. I mean, we ain't seeing eye to eye on a couple of things right now. You know what it is, but you're my partner. You know, I always got love for you, AD. I ain't mad at you. You know, I ain't mad at you. I need clarification on some things. I need some clarification on some things, and you're the only person that clarify these things for me. I forgot. What time is it? 10. It's 3:30, okay? Let me see if I can come back for 3:30. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk channel. AD, text me when you get an opportunity. We need to talk. My guy. All right. Let me get up out of here. You've been tuned into the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. Man, I can't thank you all enough for being here. You know what? Hold on for a second. Yes. Hold on before I get up out of here, y'all. And this is go. Hey, listen, let me tell y'all something. This is going on the podcast too. They're gonna hear all this. Hey, look, this is part of the Big Sarge experience, okay? This is part of the Big Sarge experience. Let me see. How can I do this? All right. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Nope. Ah, hold on for a second. I can't. Yes. Queen, I can't get it. It won't let me put it out on here, and I need to have that link. I want to go to um hold on for a second. You know what? This is the best thing about having this. There we go. Can y'all see that? Thank you. Thank you, AD. I appreciate that. I don't know why the link. Well, I just started the channel on Saturday, so that may be why the link isn't working like it should. But there you go. Got the link right there. Got the link for you. All right, and make sure. Hey, look, if you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, you know it's on there right there. So follow me on Twitter, Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. All right, y'all. I got to get ready to get up out of here. I appreciate it. Let's do this again. Texans happy hour on the Texans Tailgate Talk channel. Hey, y'all make sure y'all follow me on something social media. I might have something for y'all. Big Sarge. I'm out.
Big Sarge.